Joined by our legal analyst, Paul Harding from Martin, Harding and Mazzotti. A very interesting case out of Burn Knox Westerlo School. Long story short, kid gets in trouble in class, a 14-year-old, for texting. Principal gets the cell phone. Principal then starts going through the cell phone and finds some inappropriate pictures of this 14-year-old's 14-year-old girlfriend. Calls the sheriff's department. Now we got a big mess. Let's talk about some of the issues involved here with Paul. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Good morning, Diane. Good morning, Chuck.
Morning, Paul.
So did the principal here overreach? Was this an invasion of privacy, do you think?
He did. In fact, the phone is it's like a computer or a laptop or a backpack. When you bring it in, there's an expectation of privacy. It's personal property. And what happened here is it was okay to take the phone. Can't text in class. He texted in class. They take the phone, and that's where it should have ended.
Is there any kind of a legal distinction now for phones, especially since they are carrying all of our personal information?
Well, that's, they took a look at this phone and they treat it like a school locker, right? Your school locker, they loan you the school locker. They can go through everything. They can look at your stuff, and they find stuff in there, and these search and seizure laws or these protection laws don't apply. The courts are all over the place nationally. There was a case out of Rhode Island a month ago, and of course it's always the most egregious that make the news. A 6-year-old boy was murdered, and they charged a man with the murder, but primarily they used the information on his phone, and the courts threw out that case saying that, in fact, he was entitled to Fourth Amendment protection on his phone. It was not a business record, etc. So the way it appears to be going, these phones are being treated like any other personal property, and therefore information you need to have go right to the courts, and the courts need to approve you to review these records.
But that brings me to my next question. Is there a bit of a mitigation of liability? Because I'm looking at this and thinking, just like any other documents or information you have, don't you have a responsibility to keep it private? And if the kid, and I know he's 14, kid and parents had just ensured that there was a password on that phone, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
I guess we should always kind of protect ourselves. I'm notorious for taking my phone and leaving it places. And then,
Good to know, Paul. Good to know.
Where was I last? I go to my last 3 places and find it. And I do have a password for that reason, just because personal information on there. Sure, I think you need to be real careful. I think the parents need to have that password and kind of go through, the underlying merits of this. And the father, I thought, was quite appropriate. He said, listen, I want to discipline my son for what happened, but I'm in an awkward position because the reason it came to light was, in his opinion, a violation of what the school policy and what they were doing. So parents need to be looking at the phones, and I think individuals need to protect their phones and protect their personal property.
Now, do you think that there could be what if the school district had a policy in place that said, among other things, we can do this, we can take your cell phone, we can go through it? Would that hold legal water, do you think, or not really?
It wouldn't. No, that'd be, policies can be placed, and then you've got to go ahead and fight them, right? But this appears to be squarely a Fourth Amendment violation. That looking at what was open and obvious, kid was texting. You can look at that text. They can look at the phone and just kind of pop it open just to verify that he even had his phone out and what he was doing. But now to go deep into the information is a violation.
Interesting. So they can look at the text, they just can't go any further. That's interesting. And by the way, like the school locker, do they have the legal right to check the locker though? Also,
yeah, they do. They can go through the locker. They may have to have, as what they did here, a reasonable suspicion that something was going on. There's a policy, there's a violation. Maybe they smell something. Maybe there's they observe someone doing something, sticking something in the locker, and then they go back and look at it. Yeah, that's school property. They've loaned it to the child, and therefore, when they go in to see what's in there, they're not going to get the same protections that they would with personal property.
Paul Harding from Martin, Harding and Mazzotti, 1-800-LAW-1010. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.